Welcome to Always Moving Forward with Renee.
Moving forward.
Hello, and happy day to all. This is the day that the Lord has made. Rejoice and be glad in it. Welcome to Always Moving Forward with Renee and her friends. We've got Jackie, Lenore, and Noni. Those are my friends. As always, I am glad you invited us into your homes. I trust each of you had a great week, and it's truly a blessing to be back with you again this week. Remember, if you have any suggestions, if you want prayer, or you just want to let us know that you watched our show, you can call or text us at 313-657-5556 or email us at wealths111@gmail.com. Our show is pre-recorded and shown on Sundays at 11:30 a.m. Comcast Channel 20. If you miss the show, you can always watch it on your cell phone or on your computer by going to bgntvgospel.com and search for Always Moving Forward with Renee. Today we have a special guest for you. I'm not going to say her name because there's someone here that's going to introduce her. But she has a story that she wants to get out to every parent, everyone who is looking after a young person. If you're a sister, a brother, a aunt, a uncle, a grandparent, mother, father, you need to hear this. And what she's going to tell you, you need to run now, get your paper, get a pen, because you want to take notes. But I'm going to let her friend, her buddy, Lenore, introduce her.
Hi, I'm Lenore. Today our special guest is Lysandra Lorraine Singleton. She's a great friend of mine. She's also my neighbor. We live right across the street from each other. And Sandra is here today to tell her story about her son, KJ. Sandra is not only my friend, she's an awesome mother. She has other children. She's a great mother. And the title of her story is KJ's Heart. Sandra?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Lysandra Lorraine Singleton. I'm the mother of Kenneth Bernard Gross, Jr. I have 5 other children, 2 girls, 2 granddaughters, 2 grandsons, and I have a loving mother that's helped me through this process along KJ's journey.
Okay, amen. And we are certainly glad that we have Lysandra with us today. But not only Lysandra, she has 2 of her daughters with her. We've got Angel here sitting right next to Noni, and we have Chantel next to Jackie. So I want to welcome each one of you here to Always Moving Forward with Renee and Friends. All right? Okay, but Lysandra, I do have a question for you, because I understand that your son had a flu shot.
Yes.
He had a flu shot. From the flu shot that led to allegedly to cancer and then to his demise. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, but what I have to ask, when and how did you first find out that something was medically wrong with KJ?
We noticed at the age of 7 months he wasn't crawling, and then we pick him up, he cried like he was in pain. But at his 13 months baby checkup, we went into the hospital and they gave him a flu shot, and he started getting sick from the flu shot. And I called his doctor, and she said, well, some people get sick and some don't, so just watch him. He got sicker. I wound up taking him to Children's Hospital, and they tried to get blood from KJ, and they couldn't get blood from him, and they wound up getting a little bit from his finger poke. And they came back and told us, we're going to keep him in the hospital, we're going to admit him. We think he may have leukemia. They gave him blood transfusion. We went to the ICU. KJ was doing fine. He had gotten his color back. He was playing, and I was like, okay, leukemia, no, he's fine. And they had to do a bone marrow aspiration. And with the results of the bone marrow aspiration, they came back and said that he had leukemia at 13 months old.
Wow, at 13 months old.
Yes.
Parents, you need to really pay attention to this story here, what she's going to tell you, because she's going to walk you through her journey. And it's not only happening here, but it can happen to other families as well. Noni, I know you have some
Yes.
questions too.
Thank you so much for being here, Lenore. My question is, what did the doctors find was the problem, and what was done medically to help KJ?
Once they came back and said that he had the leukemia, they had to do a series of bone marrow aspirations. And from that point on, they started chemotherapy. We were in the hospital 10 days. They had to start chemotherapy right away. And we were in there for 10 days, and they gave him a series of chemo to start him out. And then they sent us home, and we had several clinic visits, like we were going like every month, because they had to monitor his blood to make sure that he was in, if he was going to go into remission or not. And they have a 6-week protocol. And at the end of the 6-week protocol, you are expected to go in remission. KJ didn't go into remission at the end of the 6 weeks. So they said, okay, that's fine. We can fix this. And they gave him high-dose chemo. And along with high-dose chemo, they said, we know that he's going to need a bone marrow transplant because he didn't go in remission at the 6-week protocol. So they prepared us for the bone marrow transplant, and he went into remission before the bone marrow transplant. He did go into remission, and they had to test all his siblings, and his dad and myself, and my daughter Chantel was a match for him.
Amen.
So we were able to do the bone marrow transplant at that point.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
so Chantel, I know you're a little shy, but I'm just going to ask you one question. Now, they had you to give him the bone marrow, okay, and can you just tell me about that?
Well, I was probably like 6 or 7 at the
Okay,
I
just
was-
speak up a little bit.
I was probably 6 or 7 at the time, but I remember my mom coming to me, explaining to me what was going on, and she said, you can save his life, because she said, it's just like leukemia. That was our first time getting introduced to cancer, and I knew to save my brother's life, and I loved him so much, so I just wanted to save his life so I could see him.
Oh, wow, yes. Boy, Lenore, I'm going to have you to go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry, you guys. I'm so used to calling her San.
That's
So,
okay.
San, how long did KJ have chemotherapy and radiation?
The first round he had it was almost a whole total year of chemotherapy, preparing him for the bone marrow transplant. After he got the bone marrow transplant, they had to make sure he didn't get any complications, like graft versus host or whatever. So we stayed in the hospital 6 weeks. So it was like a total of a year that he had chemotherapy for the first cancer. And then the second time when it came, he had radiation with that. So that was almost another year of therapy with the chemo and radiation.
And I just want to say one thing. I see this young lady every day. We talk all the time. And as she's talking, as you see she's crying, you're probably going to see that. So,
It's all right. And when you mention the word leukemia, my husband lost his youngest son to leukemia. So, it touches, my heart here. Not only that, at the table here, you have 2 cancer survivors. That's Lenore and myself. So, this is really, touching us. But Jackie, I know you got something you want to add.
Yeah, I was wanting to know, what were some of the effects from him having chemotherapy and radiation?
He lost a testicle because when he got When it came back the second time, it came back in his testicle, and they call that testicular relapse. So he lost the testicle. He wound up getting something called VOD, and that's when the blood flow in the liver goes in the opposite direction. So he had to go to the ICU for like a couple of weeks, and he had to be intubated because that's really painful. So he had to be intubated for that, and he swelled up. He was like a little linebacker. I called him a little linebacker because he was so swollen. So he swelled up, and he was intubated, and he went through that. And those are, you know, the things that happened while he was in the hospital. We had a couple of times where after he, was in remission and he recovered from the bone marrow transplant, he was still taking immune suppressive drugs. So, we had to be careful where he went, exposed him to different things. So we had 2 times where he got septic. He got septic and we almost lost him. And then he got some sort of disease because his white count was so low that he caught something from somewhere we don't know, and we almost lost him from that. Yeah, so.
Wow, so I know that was trying, and you have, our hearts go out to you. But let me just give a shout out to Antoine Bell, CEO of Bell Global Network. And another shout out to our sponsor, Speed Flow Investment Club, where you can invest a small amount of only $20 and reap financial benefits. You can contact Speed Flow at 248-721-1256. Tell them you heard it on Always Moving Forward. But LaShondra, tell me, how long was KJ in remission after treatments were successful?
He was, he actually passed cancer-free. He was cancer-free for 6 years after all the treatment and everything. So he was cancer-free for 6 years.
Great.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Noni?
Yes, Lysandra. Was he on any type of medicine or oral, any type of medicine during that time?
He came home after the transplant. He came on immunosuppressive drugs. He came home on steroids, and he had to take Neupogen shots sometimes when his white count would drop so low. That would help bring it back up faster. So that was a period of time, and then we would go back to the doctor every so often, and they would wean him off of different medicines till we were completely off of it.
Sam,
Yes.
when KJ was 4 years old, can you tell us what happened?
When he was 4 years old, he just getting into kindergarten and everything, and one night I was giving him a bath, and his testicles were swollen. And I said, did something happen? Did you, get hit there or something like that? And he said, yeah, Angel, his little sister. She kicked me there, and I'm like, well, does it hurt? But ultimately, I already knew what it was because every time we went to the doctor, they would check him for testicular relapse. So my heart told me that's what it was. I went through the procedures of calling the doctors and everything, and they told me I need to bring him in. And sure enough, it was testicle relapse, and his cancer had come back after 4 years.
Well, at such a young age, such a young age, this mother had to go through it. Not only that, but the other siblings, had to watch their brother, their son, go through that. And that's painful. I know it's painful. But, you're a strong person.
Yes.
And your 2 daughters here today to sit here to tell your story. It takes a lot to do that. But Jackie, you got something.
Yeah, I know you have other kids, and during that process, and I know that they were small, but during that process, tell me about how the kids and their concerns you had for them and their concerns.
At that point, with them being as young as they were concerned about me not being in the house with them because we are a tight-knit family. So when each and every time he went into the hospital, I basically moved in with him. So they missed out on having me at home. They wanted to know how soon KJ was going to be better so that we could all be at home. What's the process, what's next? And cancer is such an unpredictable disease.
Yes.
It's no time frame, so I couldn't offer them any time frame, as to when we would be back home. So that was the hardest part for them. Not knowing when we were going to be back home or if KJ was going to be able to come back home, will he live or die. It was just,
Okay, it's all right.
Yeah,
It's all right.
He's
You
looking
know,
down at us
she's
right now.
strong to be here.
Yeah.
She's strong
She
to
has
be
been
here.
strong through the whole thing, believe
Right.
me. They both have
Yeah.
been very, very strong.
You
And
represent
we
what your
know
brother
that they
does.
miss their brother. We
Yeah,
know that.
Absolutely, yes.
We know they're missed. And you have a picture of him, don't you?
Well, I got his, but I forgot the pictures, but I do have this. This was one of the latest pictures before he passed. He was 12 years old when he passed. And this was like one of the last pictures of him that we had gotten.
Okay, if I could just borrow this one
Okay.
here. Okay, because she had, you starting to write a book, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, she's starting to write a book, KJ's story. Okay, we need some more tips this way, okay, okay. I told you we gonna laugh, we gonna cry,
No, just leave it on the table.
you know,
Renee.
right. But this is KJ right here. She has a couple of pictures. She started writing his story, and as soon as she gets that book published, we're gonna have her back.
Right.
Okay, we're
right,
gonna have her
awesome.
back, but look at this one right here.
Okay.
Okay, this is Mom and KJ. Can we get that?
Beautiful.
That is a beautiful picture.
Yes.
A beautiful picture. We got that picture there? Okay. Okay, so I just wanted you to see KJ as well. Lasange. I'm gonna call her Lasange.
Mhm.
What do you call her?
I call it Sam.
Sam?
Yes.
Okay, Sam. Can I call you Sam? Okay, you know my first name is Sam.
Okay.
But I go by Renee. Okay, Sam. But when was KJ diagnosed with congestive heart failure?
We found out in 2014 that he had congestive heart failure. And he had been going, I had been taking, he went in for a checkup with hematology in July. And we had to do yearly checkups where they did a roundup, they checked everything. So during that checkup, he would go see the cardiologist and they would do an echocardiogram. And they would always tell me, if you don't hear from us, it's good news. You know, don't worry, don't call us, we'll call you if it's something. So from July to September, I had taken KJ to the emergency room because he had a real bad cough. And nothing I gave him would help him. And they kept saying it was allergy related, keep giving him Claritin, you know, he's gonna be okay. So in September, the hematology nurse called and said, has KJ gone back to cardiology yet? And I said, no, nobody told me he needed to go. And she said, well, his last echocardiogram they did in the ER when he was just there, we just got it. And he needs to be in cardiology. And I'm like, is that why he has this cough? She said, yes, it could be, but you need to talk to cardiology. So we went there in 2014, September, and that's when we found out he had the congestive heart failure.
You know, Angel, I see you sitting over there. Do you want to say anything?
Well, I just miss him around because he always like kept smiles on our faces and stuff and kept us happy.
Yes.
And I know that
You're doing a good job. You're doing a good job.
It's all right. We can come back to you. We'll come back to you. Okay.
This is very recent.
You can do it. You can do it.
Okay. What did you say, Lenore?
I said that I am very close to the family. I know just about everything going on since September of last year. And I know that KJ made his transition May the 1st, right, Sam?
Yes.
And so this is very, very new to them. They're still dealing with him not, this is a big family. They do everything together. And so his mom tells me all the time, and his grandmother says, when I make my head count, there's one missing.
Yeah.
So I was talking to Chantel the other day, and she said the same thing. She said that when she look up, because she watches the kids sometimes, all the children, and she said when she do her count, one's missing. So I'm sure Angel feels the same way, because this is really, really new, not counting that this family, in a short period of time, lost their grandfather. Sam lost her father, and the children lost their grandfather. Then they lost KJ, their brother, and she lost her son. And then right behind KJ, Sam lost her brother and their uncle. So all this is just like really, really close, one behind the other. And so it probably is, I can understand the girls, you know, the tears and everything, because this is really like new. The family is still dealing with this.
Right, right.
Every
Still
day.
grieving,
Mhm.
still grieving.
Every day.
It's really traumatic because you never think that you're going to lose your kids
Right.
before you.
Absolutely.
You know?
Everything he went through, everything,
Yeah.
from 13 months to 12, he always beat it. So we never thought that he was not gonna make it to get his heart. We always knew KJ, we just believed that KJ was gonna come home.
Right.
We never thought that entering into the hospital January 7th would be his last time being home.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
You
Because
know.
San had a thing she did at the hospital. Can I say something? She would ask, every time he go through a procedure, she would ask him, KJ, do you wanna sing?
I would ask him if he wanted his heart because I wanted the decision to be his.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do anything that he didn't want to do. So I would always ask him, KJ, do you want your heart? Do you still want to go through this? And he would tell me yes. Up until 2 weeks before he passed, the Lord started preparing me and showing me different things. And the Lord said, stop asking KJ about this heart because he's telling you what you want to hear. So I asked, I was disobedient and I asked one more time, do you want this heart, KJ? And KJ did not answer me. He just gave me the stare. He looked at me and he let me know that he was ready. It was over. He was done. And I stopped asking and I started preparing myself because I wanted to keep him here with me. And I had to let him go. So I had to prepare myself to let my son go.
Yes, yes. Well, you know, sometimes we can be selfish. You know, sometimes we can be selfish, but we know that God knows best. You know, He knows best. And KJ's body, he physically didn't walk into that home with you. He physically didn't, but he's there.
He's there for
He's
sure.
there. He's always there. He's in your heart.
Yes.
He's in your heart. Okay, and he's gonna always be with you. But Noni,
Yes. I had a question for you. Was the congestive heart failure an issue from the treatments that he received? Or?
Yes. It was from the chemotherapy as well as the radiation, and a chemotherapy drug in particular, doxorubicin, is known for causing congestive heart failure, and that was the drug that he was given when he had to get the high dose chemo. So yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to say this. My cousin had chemo last year. She was diagnosed with lymphoma, and she told me that she came up with congestive heart failure, and that if she had known that was going to be the result of the chemo treatment, she would have never taken it.
Right.
And that's something to think about. We're not here advocating medical malpractice or any of that, but we want our community to know what is actually going on,
Right.
and how we have to be proactive about our health. I miss my cousin so much, but I also just want to share this one thing. I have a nephew in Kansas City, Missouri. He was born in need of a heart. They gave him a heart in St. Louis, and today he's thriving. He's 14 years old. So I'm so sorry for your tragedy, but I know that KJ lives on, because he's
Yes.
living on in us now, now that we know his story. So I want to strengthen you and your children and your family,
Thank you.
and hope that you're going to be all right, because KJ's story is going to get out, and we're going to do all we can to support you and your
right,
family.
right, we certainly are.
Thank you.
Sam,
Yes.
when did you and your family find out that KJ needed a heart transplant?
We found out in November of 2017 that he was going to need a heart transplant, and they started the evaluation process to get us to get him a heart.
What were some of the qualifications, or when they evaluated it?
We had to be cleared by doctors because that's considered a gift of life, and it is. And they had to make sure that we would take care of KJ properly. So all the doctors that he had been, under care with had to, clear us as being a good family, and we were going to take care of KJ. So we had to be evaluated from them, and then we had to be evaluated through psychology. They had to make sure we were, good in our mind.
Mentally fit.
Yeah, so yeah, it was a long process of the evaluation process.
Were there any complications?
There were complications. KJ did receive a device, an assist device. It was called an HVAC, and it's a heart ventricular assist device that they put in his left ventricle. And that device required a lot to function, and ultimately he developed hemolysis, which is the breakdown of your blood cells before they mature. He bled out and my son passed because of him and hemolysis and trying to make this device happy.
Wow, wow. I just want to say, audience, if you like the show today
Yes.
and you want more information, please, please do not hesitate to pick up that phone, call us, or text us at 313-657-5556, or email us at gwealths111@gmail.com. Now, I just want to say, mothers and daughters, do you have any final words for our audience out there?
I just want to say that doctors are not God, and I strongly recommend that you consult with God first before you make any decisions on your children's health.
Amen.
And I know that if I had to do all this over again, I would totally do it differently. There are natural products out there that we can research and find out about. Do your research. Do your research, and if any child out there is considering getting a hardware device, the hardware device was uniquely made for an adult. KJ was the first child in Michigan to get the device. And I believe that an adult device should remain an adult, because
Yes.
an adult cannot get a child's heart. So why would you put an adult device in a child? So I just recommend that everybody do their research and consult with God first. He's the head doctor, so consult with him.
Yes, he is.
Angel, did you want to say anything?
Don't cry now. He's strong.
Well, I will miss my brother KJ truly, and I know that he will never forget us, and we will never forget us. And when God comes, I hope I can see KJ with his green wings, his favorite color, and I will miss him.
Yeah, you will see him.
Okay.
You will see him.
Chantel?
I know people out there didn't know KJ personally, and you didn't know him personally, but you guys know his story. But my little brother, he was a fighter through every thing he'd been through. He was a little soldier.
Yes, he was.
And you know what? I want you ladies to show us your shirt and tell us what does the shirt say?
It's called KJ's Heart.
KJ's Heart.
KJ's heart.
So with that, audience, remember, God loves you, and so do we.
Yes.
And we have KJ's Heart with us here
Yes,
today.
yes, we do.
So until next week, remember, what are we remembering? Always, always keep moving forward.
Thank you.
Till next week. You enjoy Always Moving Forward with Renee.
Moving forward.
What's up, everybody? This is your girl, Vicki Winans, and you're watching Bell Global Network.